All right, you don't really have to have the slide deck pulled up. What I'm going to ask you to do first is to go ahead and log into ClassLink. And as you're logging into ClassLink, I'm going to talk about this timeline. I am missing one training that we did in August. I'm going to have to go back and add here on the shared deck on Google Drive. These are all of the trainings we've had so far this year that apply to technology or the S-Class grant. Dr. Clay has asked that I create some type of digital form to collect signatures. She said that she would be able to award points for these trainings. So if you attended any of these trainings and today's training, I'm going to ask you to please click on the electronic sign-in form that's linked here at the bottom, and it will take you to a Google form, and just complete the form and use the date and the name of the training here to complete the form and submit. I know it's redundant, but so I have different sheets for different trainings. If you would complete a form for each training that you attended, that would be great. And this only applies to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers and our learning specialists who have tech tubs. In order to receive credit for this professional development as part of our fidelity checklist, Ms. Westbay and friends are asking that you complete that grant professional development survey. And that's also linked here on the bottom of the slide. So slide 2, this is to receive points for school-based training that we've done so far. The electronic sign-in form is linked here at the bottom. And on slide 5, you can submit a survey. And this, again, is for only the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade recipients of the tech tubs based on the training we've done so far. Today, we're going to look at ClassLink. Just take a quick glance at the teacher's dashboard and backpack. I've had lots of questions about how can I create links or shortcuts on my students' ClassLink to go to apps that are not available on their dashboard. We're going to look at how to do that. The ClassLink presentation I sent out earlier is linked here, so you can refer back to that and the training center available in the platform. And then folks who are not in grades 2nd through 5th or learning specialist or interventionist, they may leave, and we're going to talk about creating assessments and performance matters. Because we're having to do a lot of training via Zoom and folks are so busy, they're in different meetings and they're not able to attend live, I am going to create a page on the PD in your PJ site that will house all of our recorded trainings. So you can go back and view later if you couldn't join the live section. All right, so we're going to jump right into ClassLink. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to log in. Real quick overview of ClassLink. You can add apps. When you add apps through the app library, all it does is take the app and put it on your dashboard. It does not push the app out to students. It just creates a shortcut on your teacher dashboard. If an app or website that you want is not available here, you can click on Add App, type the name, and copy and paste the URL. And it will appear on your dashboard. Again, your dashboard is for your view. It is not for student view. Any apps you add to your dashboard will not appear in the student's dashboard or backpack. Just to the right of that plus sign, you have the ability to customize the appearance of your ClassLink. You can change the theme. You can change how the apps are displayed in size and font. And you can change your color palette. All right, now the good stuff. Let's click on your teacher console. Your teacher console is identified by the backpack icon on the bottom of your toolbar. The teacher console is created through Tyler Sys. So as you scroll down, you're going to see that you have all of the classes assigned to you in Tyler Sys. Just like Tyler Sys, if it begins with a V before the number, that is the virtual classroom. This is where we're going to add shortcuts or apps to students' backpacks. I would not suggest using all of these different platforms. I would choose one and add all of my apps that I wanted students to find in that one location. Homeroom is a great location because you can refer all of your students to the backpack on their console and ask them to click on the homeroom. So that's what I'm going to do. Everybody click on your homeroom. Here you have a little bit of customization. You can change the picture. You can change the color and do a little bit of customization there. For your younger students, it may be easier to say, click on the classroom that has the balloon and labeled homeroom. So you could use this image as a way to identify which backpack classroom to click on. Now, just below announcements, click on apps for me. New apps, this is where we're going to add apps to the student's backpack. Some of these apps are already available, ABC, yeah, so I could add that. The boom cards. I can search the PGS library by categories. Or I can add my own app to the student's backpack. In this case, I'm going to add my own app. I created an activity in Flipgrid. I want all of my students to be able to complete on bullying, and the topic is what can you do? So I'm going to click share, grab my URL, go to my backpack. I'm going to paste my URL, and I'm going to name the app. Next, I'm prompted to select an icon. They have provided lots of different icons I can choose, and this is Flipgrid. Chances are they have a Flipgrid icon already, so I'm going to type in Flipgrid. And sure enough, here are two icons I can use to identify the new app I'm adding to my students' backpack. So here I can see I've added 3 new apps. So when my students log in and click on their backpack, they should see these apps. And I'm going to switch screens, and I'm going to show you this in a student account. So this is a student account. I've logged in as a student. The icons I've added are not here. Students will have to go to the backpack icon on their dashboard and choose the homeroom that I've added the icons to. Just like in the teacher console, the students will be able to see all of those courses assigned in Tyler Sys. At a glance, I can see, oh, homeroom has 3 apps added. When the students open the homeroom and click on apps, they have the shortcuts that I need them to have in order to complete the assignment. Now here we've just added websites. If I have Spelling City, there have been quite a few, Kahoot, anything that I want students to be able to go to immediately through this single sign-on, I'm going to add it through the teacher backpack console by selecting the homeroom apps, adding them. And if it's not there, I will have to copy and paste the URL, name it, and select an icon. So the student can log in, go to their backpack, and access the apps. Any questions on how to add an app to the student console? All right, let me change my screen. Now, back in my teacher console, again, everything was in the backpack. That's where I can add and change things around. I can create folders and store files here. And I can also look at student analytics. I can see how many times students have logged in, how many times they've logged into specific apps, and the time spent within those apps through ClassLink. So that's just a quick rundown of ClassLink. There's lots of features in there. There is a ClassLink Help Center. Lots of information in there, but that's the main thing, being able to add your own apps and get students to where they can access those apps that you've added for them. Any questions?
I'm so sorry. I had to step away for a parent. Do I need to add those apps to my teacher side before I add them to my student side, or does it matter?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So I know I saw that there was when you add an app to our dashboard, it doesn't push out to the students, is what you were saying.
Correct.
So then when I go to the backpack, I can add those apps in there for the student. I don't have to add it to my dashboard first. I can go ahead and just add it straight to their backpack.
Absolutely. I did not add any of those shortcuts to the teacher dashboard.
Sorry, I hate that I missed that. I felt like that was the most important part and I had to step away. A parent was here.
No worries. I understand. Flexibility is the name of our game this year. So,
we're trying.
You do not have to add any shortcuts to your teacher desktop to get them to the students. Students can only see items that you've added to their backpack. On the teacher dashboard, it's called the teacher console, but on the student, it's the backpack. Same icon, the little backpack book bag. And again, Tiffany, just choose one of these courses to add your icons to, so students are not trying to click in between all of those classes to find the icon. Homeroom is a great place to drop apps you want students to locate.
Thanks, Laura.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All right, guys, that was pretty much ClassLink down and dirty. Again, if you want more information on ClassLink, please use the presentation I shared out earlier. That's also linked on our guide here. That will take you to the presentation with all of those tutorials and videos and links directly from ClassLink. But the biggest question that I was receiving was, how do I add apps to the student's dashboard through the backpack? All right, if you are not here for Performance Matters, you may go, and we're going to jump and go right into Performance Matters. Since you're already in your ClassLink, go ahead and use that shortcut in your ClassLink dashboard to Performance Matters.
Now, when I try to log into it, it says user not found.
Have you submitted a help ticket for that?
No, I just found it this morning.
You definitely need to submit a help ticket for that. All right, so hopefully you guys went on Friday and you actually went in and created a formative assessment. The step-by-step tutorial that I sent out is not going to be the last of its kind because our time is stressed. Dr. Clay and Dr. Hicks and I have all discussed ways that we can provide professional development and training to you without having you to come together in one location. So please expect in the future additional training to where I am not leading it with you, but you are doing the work with your group during your planning block on Friday. Today, with it being a new platform, I wanted to take you over the steps that we did last Friday and look at searching and finding assessments in the platform that were created in years past. So as soon as you log into Performance Matters, it's going to take you to your students. The students most likely are not going to have much data attached to them yet unless you've already assigned an assessment. You have little tags at the top to where you can sort your students by subgroups. And at a glance, I can see I have 3 students with disabilities in my class. If I click on that tag, it's going to separate, and I'm just looking at those particular students. So with your tags here in your student dashboard, you have the ability to sort and look at different students. Once we have some assessment data, I will have a training video available for you to pull reports. For today's purposes, we're doing 2 things. We're looking at creating a new test, and we're looking at finding old tests that were transferred over from PowrSchool. At the top, we have items, tests, and reports. Let's all click on test, please. We're going to create a new test. And everybody follow these steps with me. We don't really have to create a test today. Our last step can be clicking delete, but I need you to touch these steps with me. Our assessment title needs to be the same algorithm, the same convention across the division. So we're going to begin with 20-21, our school year. Our school we can abbreviate as B's, followed by your name to identify the author of the exam, the subject, SOL, and a little descriptor. My assessment description can be the same thing as the title. I'm just going to paste that there.
Hey, Laura.
Yes.
When you put 20-21, is that not going to sort? I mean, that means everybody in the county is going to, their thing's going to start with 2021?
Correct.
Okay. I guess, never mind, continue.
All right, next we're going to do is decide the assessment category. In PowrSchool, they were the folders of where the assessment is housed, pretty much the same thing here in Performance Matters. Is this going to be a post-test, pre-test, quiz, SOL released items, a unit test? Benchmarks are reserved for the interventionist and ITRTs when they create benchmarks, and most of the things you're going to do is probably going to fall into the quiz or unit category. So let's select quiz. Course type, is this a language arts? Or is this math, science, or social studies? Place value is K-5 math. So choose the course type. Grade level. Classroom teachers, your grade level will be the grade level you're assigned. You don't have much of a choice. If you're an interventionist, you would have to choose which grade level you were creating the assessment for. There's not much that you need to do here because this is set up by the county's grading scale. Let's go to the top and click on administration. First thing, private. If you keep this box checked as private, that means this assessment belongs to you, is only searchable, and can be assigned by you. So if this is an assessment that is solely created for your classroom and it is not a common assessment that your team could use or other folks in the county could use, keep it marked private. But if this is an assessment you want others to be able to find in Performance Matters, be sure to uncheck private. The assessment window. Doesn't seem like a big deal. I know that in PowrSchool, we didn't really worry about the assessment window, but in Performance Matters, if the assessment window is not open, you will not be able to find that assessment as easily. So my suggestion, and what we're doing across the division, is we're just going right here to 2. So from the date you create it to, and we're going to change it from 2020 and just make it 2030. So this test will be active for 10 years. Apply. OLA just means online assessment. And since Performance Matters is an online assessment platform, we're going to leave that checked. It does have the ability to print a Scantron sheet. That is just basically a sheet that has bubbles and students can fill in. And it does have a way to scan them into the system. I've not tried it. I do not know how easy it is, but you do have that ability there. This is going to be an online assessment, so I'm just going to uncheck the scan sheets. And the rest of them, they're not relevant. I'm not even going to go through them. They're the main ones you need to worry about. The date, checking private, and of course, OLA will be selected by default. Now, before I go into test items, I want to show you test format. Everybody open test format. This is where you're going to create sections for your test, if you want a section. And you're going to add the tools for the test you're creating. By default, highlighter is going to be checked. We want students to have access to the eliminator. We have other tools that we can add, including text-to-speech. The text-to-speech function will allow students to listen to the test items and be able to respond. If I'm in a lower grade, like 2nd grade, and I want to start by providing the text-to-speech function for everyone, so I'm not having to read the test aloud to everyone during my classroom formative assessments, maybe I'm going to choose that. If I am an inclusion teacher and I have to create a test for my students who have an accommodation for read aloud, I'm going to make sure that their assessment has text-to-speech. Now, how would I be able to make 2 assessments? Well, actually, I just said that. I would make 2 assessments, one without the text-to-speech feature, and then I would copy it and add the text-to-speech feature. I will hit that at the end. But just know that that's there. And this is where you're going to assign those tools required to take a test. I wouldn't want to give a measurement test without giving them the ruler, or a test on angles without the protractor and straight edge. So remember to add the tools necessary to complete the assessment. All right, in this case, I'm just going to get the highlighter and the eliminator and click OK. And I'm ready to add items. So click on Add Items. This is a lot different than what we're used to. We're used to the items showing up here in the left-hand pane and just easily dragging and dropping them into our assessment. In Performance Matters, We have to search for items. I'm going to choose to search by standard because I know I'm looking for 3.1. And it's going to take just a second to load. I'm going to go down and do some filtering here. This is going to be a Virginia SOL that I'm looking for. I'm going to keep going down. The subject is math. And let's see if I can type in 3.1 and pull up some place value questions. So let me tell you what I just did again to get these items to appear. I filtered by standards. I selected Virginia SOLs. And I filtered by subject. PowrSchool has given me 3 topics to choose from, and based on the topic, the best one that describes place value is this top one, and I can see there are 54 items to choose from. So in your Add Items window, I need you to do what I just did. Click on Standards, sort by Virginia SOL, narrow it down by your subject, then type the SOL number into that search bar. Once the window has populated some choices, decide which one actually identifies the best strand that you're assessing. And you'll have the plus sign and the number of items related. Click on that plus sign and that number.
Hey, Laura, I have a question.
Yes.
Under standards, I have like VA, SOL, VA, ME, VA reading. Should I click on the SOL first, or should I go straight to the math, or what?
Reed, are you talking about in the window that populated the choices?
No, ma'am. I'm talking about when I clicked on standard, or so I clicked standards in the top left. Then I click, when I go down to standards, it says va.sol, then like va.cf, va.fl, va.pe, va science. I have a lot of different.
I chose the first one, just VA SOL.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And then Reed, you're going to be prompted at the bottom, choose subject. That will help narrow it down as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You guys see what I'm talking about? The search is a lot different. All right, so once you found the topic or the strand that best suits the need for your assessment, it's going to open into a new window. You can preview these questions in this small window, or you can click preview. Guys, I'm sharing my screen. Are you able to see these pop-up windows?
Yes, Laura, we can see them.
Thank you so much. All right, so as I'm going through and I am previewing the questions, I'm deciding whether or not these are questions I want on my exam. If I like the question, I'm just going to click that box and it will check the box. And I'm going to go through and I'm just going to choose maybe 5 questions for this very short formative assessment. I think that's good. Once you've selected the questions you like and want on your exam, go ahead and click Add to Assessment. I can see my number has changed from 53 to 47. That lets me know I have 47 questions left available on that strand that I have not used on this assessment. And I can just click on Add to Assessment. Now, all of the questions I've selected are in this pane, and I can click and drag these questions around in this frame to reorder the questions on my exam. If I do not like the question, I can remove it. If I want to preview the question on how it will appear in the student's testing window, I can open the item here. And once I'm happy with my exam, I'm going to click on Save. And everybody, you can click on Save. We can delete your assessment if you don't like it. I just want you to touch these steps. All right, so what we have now, we have the ability to test preview. That's going to give you an opportunity to look at the test in the testing center and what the students would see. If this was an assessment I was doing whole group, I could project it either by sharing my screen to work with my virtual students or project it and share my screen in person, and we could go through the test together. I would model using the tools with my students, test taking strategies in this test preview. I can change the permissions here if I want to add other collaborators. If I'm working on a grade level assessment or a common assessment, I can add my collaborators here. And we were talking about the read aloud text feature. So if I have students in my classroom who have the read aloud accommodation and on the SOL test will have to use the text to speech function during the SOL assignment, I would want to make a copy of this test and test format, add that text to speech. That way I have two assessments. One assessment that's assigned this test ID number. And of course, after I copy it, it would receive a new test ID number. Now, why is this test ID number important? You guys just realized how difficult it was or different to add items to our assessment. It is just as different to search and find tests in Performance Matters. The easiest way to find a test is to copy, and I'm going to use Control-C, that test ID number. So if you just created a test, go over here to your test ID number, highlight it, right-click, copy, or use the Control-C to copy that or jot it down, because we can delete it if you're not happy with it. But we're getting ready to go into the test center to find this test and create a copy. So we're happy with our test. We've copied our test ID number. I'm going to go right over here to test, drop that down, and we're going to go into the test center.
Laura, real quick, will we be able to edit these after we save them if we wanted to remove or add? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
perfect.
You can edit as long as there's no student data attached. All right, so in the testing center, I'm going to get into all of this in just a minute. where we're going to actually search for assessments from last year, but just as an overview, when you're in the testing center, you can search by course type, assignment category, by grade level, or my favorite, and which will become your favorite, the test ID number. Now, guys, I told you about that testing window. Do you see this box here, limit to open test window? You can uncheck this and you should get more exams visible, but that test ID number is going to be, the test window is going to be important. Just make it 2030 and you won't have to worry about it. In 10 years, we'll have a new platform we're training on. All right, so I'm going to go right here and I'm going to paste, Control V, that test ID. And the only test that's going to appear is the test that I just created, or the test that has that ID number. So go ahead and paste your test ID number there. Your test should come up. I can preview it here in the student's online assessment platform. I think, Tiffany, you just asked me about editing the exam. If you hover, you can see this is a blue link, and all I have to do is click on the title to edit the exam. I can see the course type. I can see the date and time it was created. Hover over attributes. It's going to break it down by standard, blooms, subject, any of those tags to help you find it when you search. I can see how many students have taken the exam. And in actions, go ahead and click on the little 3-dot ellipses. From there, I can download the test, a hard copy PDF, or I can copy the test. So if I did not remember to create that text-to-speech version, I could do that here. But I want to assign it to my students. Everybody click on Release, Online, and Paper-Based. We're not really assigning it right now, so don't freak out. Just click on it for me. This is going to pull up all of the students assigned in your classroom. I really, really love this feature. By default, all students are selected, this checkbox. But if I uncheck that, I have the ability to select specific students to take this exam. So let's say I have worked whole group, I've given an assessment. I have 5 students who are still struggling on place value. So after I have worked with those students in a small group or a breakout room, I want them to reassess and see where they are. Did they master the content? I don't need everyone in my class to take that test. It would be a waste of time because everyone else had mastered the content. So I can assign specific students in my class this assessment. I do not have to assign it to my entire class. I really think that's awesome. But if I wanted to assign it to everyone, I can just click that again and it would highlight it. It does not say assign, it uses the word release. Once you release it to your students, I'm going to release it, but I'm going to unrelease it after I release it. My window has changed. I can see the status is everyone is assigned this test and it's denoted by a star. So I know when students log into Performance Matters, they will see that they are assigned this place value test I've created for them. But I do not want them to take it, so I'm going to unrelease it. And I can see, okay, it's unassigned. There are no more stars. It's not there to them. So let me close that window. So just to recap, we went into test, we created a new test, and in the presentation I sent out last Friday, I have screenshots of all of this. You will use the naming convention. You will check whether or not it's private. You will add the tools through the format option. You add the items by searching standard, Virginia SOL, and subject area. Then you select the number that best fits the description of your test, add items by clicking the check boxes, and going through the steps to save your test. Now, let's go ahead and click on the assessment we just created. We can do that here by clicking on the name of it. It's a hyperlink.
Hey, Laura,
Yes.
is there anywhere in this class links where we can like make like a document or something where we can save the different test numbers? I'm just thinking if we make tests, you said it was easiest to use the test number. Do you have any suggestion on where to save that or put that? Or is there something in class links where we can like make it and so it's right next to it?
Reed, did you want to share those test ID numbers with your grade level?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Do you have a grade level space on OneDrive or Google Drive?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay.
I would create a slide deck or a working document
Okay.
where you guys can go in and paste the test number under the strand or the subject area. So
That's
yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah, you just have a collaborative space where everyone is adding their common assessments.
Okay.
Hey, Reed, for
Yeah.
like the math intervention tests, I had already created a Google Doc. I haven't shared it yet because we haven't finished doing it, but we have a whole like list by grade level of the MI test by SOLs, all the test numbers for
Okay.
you guys.
Cool.
But the other things you're going to probably have to just do with your grade route level.
Right. Okay.
Well, and Laura, I was also wondering while Reed's on this subject, when we are allowing permission to share with the county, because I know that's a big push, especially with virtual, would they have access to edit, or is it just the creator of the document of the test?
I'm pretty sure, like right up here, watch, let me show you how I got here. Do you see permissions?
Okay.
I would add users. And Whitney, by the way, just
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it. We're looking into a way to create a math interventionist group and a reading interventionist group. At the moment, we do not have a way to do that. So we're checking with our rep to see how that can be done for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I would add the user here.
Perfect.
And just find my teacher or my team, and I would add them. And once I've added them, let me see if I can find a.
So it's best to keep that permission private initially, and then just add the users.
I
If
would.
you need it, I wouldn't think that you would necessarily need somebody else unless you want like Jess to look at something or somebody on your team. But
So I've just added, I'm logged in as Foxy. I've added Sarah Radcliffe, who's also a third grade teacher. I can give her the ability to read this test, to view it, to make a copy of it, to assign it to her students, or she could go in here and update it, or even make her the administrator of it. So when you do permissions, Tiffany, that's where you're going to decide what you want the other people to be able to do with your test. Does that make sense?
Yes, and so in order for them to assign it but not edit it, they need to be able to read and copy it, correct?
Ma'am.
Okay. And so I think the very first step when you created that first test, we had like private checked. So we should keep that checked as a classroom teacher, not as a specialist, but.
You know what? I would say that's up to the individual. If you think this is a great test and for the benefit of the division, you think other folks would benefit from using your assessment, absolutely share it. But you're going to see in just a minute how difficult it is to find tests. So I don't know if they would even be able to find your test unless you shared the ID with them.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Laura,
Yes.
I just tried to find Jennifer's test through the test ID, and it's still saying no test found. And she even made me an administrator, and it's still not saying it.
I would have to look at it personally to know why it's not coming through.
Laura.
But you'd have to look at my individual account.
I would have to look at your screen and the test that she created.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take this test and I'm going to delete it because I've already created Foxy enough place value tests. She doesn't want me creating anymore, I'm sure. So I'm going to delete this.
Laura, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And maybe I just heard you wrong. Did you say that like when we make a test, like say the MI test we're transferring over, the only people that can see it is the people that I put under the permissions?
No, ma'am. Only if this is private. And when I trained you guys,
To take the private off.
we unchecked that.
Gotcha.
So your test and your training was
So
a
I need
little different.
So I need to make sure that doesn't say private.
Exactly.
right,
Interventionists, you
okay.
cannot have a private test. Classroom teachers, maybe I'm just giving a test to 5 kids to reassess place value. I don't need everyone in the county to have access to my
I
personal.
want anybody to be able to use my test, but my thing is I don't want anybody to be able to edit it. So that
Right.
way-
Not,
Don't give them the permissions, Tiffany.
so that's what kind of makes me nervous, but you're right, they won't be able to find it anyway. So giving those permissions and pushing them out and keeping it as private, I think probably will work best for a classroom teacher.
And Tiffany, to be honest, they cannot edit. They can only make a copy to make edits to it. So you would not have that fear anyway.
Perfect. That makes me feel much better.
All right, so I'm gonna just go up here. Everybody go to your left-hand corner and click on Performance Matters for me. It's gonna say leave. Yes, please leave. It's gonna take us back to our dashboard. Now, if I knew an easier way, I would show you, okay? So I'm not saving the easy directions for myself. I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. I know that this is a lot of steps and it's a different platform. And I know at the upper levels, they're just, a lot of them are just beginning from scratch with the assessments. We were told initially they were going to transfer over the last 2 years of assessments created in PowrSchool. I have found assessments that go all the way back to 2015. And we know that the language arts and the math standards have changed since then. So I know this is different. And if you don't want to have to hunt down assessments that you made, please feel free to create them from scratch, okay? Because I know that this is different. From our dashboard student page, we have a magnifying lens right up here at the top. Let's click on that magnifying lens. Now, initially, we talked about naming conventions. In PowrSchool, we had naming conventions. We had ways of finding assessments based on the same thing. It was school name, teacher name, subject, standard, right? Most of us followed that naming conventions. Is that true? I hope so. So I'm going to do B's. And I know there were a lot of Virginia Studies tests created. So I know Crawford. Let me just try BS. So I've taken keywords that were in the original test that I created in the other platform, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, what's come up are these older tests that have something highlighted in my search. So those keywords are searched right here. Let me see.
She might have also put M.A. Crawford. I think that's how she labeled him.
Thank you. I'm going to do canon. I know Jesse just said something about canon. So here's Beasley, nonfiction canon, Beasley nonfiction homophones. So here are a lot of tests because canon used the naming convention that we decided on in PowrSchool. So here are some of the tests that she created in PowrSchool that have come over. Now, the reason why we can't search them from the testing center, because when they were transferred over, they were not assigned a category, a subject. They were not assigned a way to where we could search them. Instead, every assessment that was in PowrSchool was basically dumped in a big virtual bucket. So using that magnifying lens, we are fishing out those assessments. So if you really did a great job at naming your assessments in PowrSchool, you're going to have an easier job finding the assessments you've created. I'm going to take this assessment that has 24 questions on decimals. Actually, I like that rounding. You guys are probably more into rounding. I can see there are 10 questions. I'm going to go over here first, and these are the steps, guys. You might want to write them down. After you've searched, you found the assessment, the first thing that you're going to do is click duplicate. When you click duplicate, it's going to open in a window here, and go ahead and use those naming conventions that we've talked about, 20-21, Beasley, Canon, Math, SOL 4.1, rounding. So in this window, I can go ahead and name that test based on our new naming conventions, and I'm going to click duplicate. It's going to open in the same window that our new test opened in. And we need to do the same steps that we did with our brand new test. We just did the naming convention. I'm going to take this and copy it. Now I'm going to paste the description. Whoops. The assessment category, I'm going to leave as a quiz, course type, K-5 math, grade level. Well, I'm going to choose third because I'm a third grade teacher at the moment. Administration. Everything looks good. Test format, I always go there first. I want the highlighter. I want the eliminator. I don't need any of the other tools at the moment. And again, if I had a student with an accommodation, I would have to copy this test. Now, so I have my test. I can preview the questions, and as I scroll down, I'm going to make sure that none of them have permission issues. Now, here's the deal with permission issues. We don't have the rights to every single question that was in our original platform. I've gotten different stories, and we have not used it enough here for me to draw the conclusion to, if we copy it, the question will show up for students. Or if we don't delete it, it'll be a blank question. So you guys are going to have to use it and let me know if you leave a question on here, will you be able to see it, or will the student be able to see it once it's live? Like I said, it's supposed to, so even though we can't preview this question, supposedly if we leave it here, it will be visible to the students. I'm not real sure about that yet. Me personally, I'm probably going to just remove that. I'm going to go through and just preview. And like I said, you guys test it out. When you see a permission issue, I've been told that once you've copied it, and saved it, those questions will be visible to students, and then I've heard they were not visible. So we're going to have to just sort of use it and determine whether or not students can see questions with permission issues. I'm not certain if that's a yes or a no. So in this case, I'm just taking them off.
Hey, Laura,
Yes, ma'am.
I got an email from Chrissy Carr saying that those permissions are the items that have permission issues. When you actually go to test review at the top right, they're all there. So
Yeah.
she said for us to ignore them,
And
that they'll be there.
yeah, other ATRTs have reported different. So I know that Performance Matters is working on it. So hopefully we can see them, but in today's training, I'm just going to ignore them for right now.
Gotcha.
Hopefully we will be able to see all questions. That's something that's happening on Performance Matters end.
Mm-hmm.
When they fix it, we shouldn't even have that red bar that indicates there's any permission issues.
Right.
So in the next week or so, we shouldn't even see that. All right, so I'm previewed all my questions. They look great. I'm ready to save my test. Again, that test ID number is important. It's going to help me and anyone else trying to access this test find it easier in the testing center. And let me copy that. I have a student with a learning disability in my classroom. I'm required to give him the read aloud accommodation. So this is where I'm going to go and create a copy of this test. I'm going to keep the same naming convention. The only difference is I'm going to go to the end and in parentheses type the word audio. So it's the same name. The only difference is I've added the word audio at the end. So when I'm assigning the test to my students, not everyone in my class will get the test with audio, because when I release the test, I am only assigning this test to my students with that accommodation. But it's important that I have an audio version for students who require the read aloud accommodation. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it. So I have the same test that I've created. The only difference is I'm going into testing format and I'm adding text to speech for this one. So now I have two tests on rounding. One that I created initially, and I've got the test number copied on my clipboard. And I have the second test, and I went into test format, added the text-to-speech feature, and denoted it by audio at the end of the title. And of course, Foxy does not want this test on rounding, I'm sure, so I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to go back into my testing center. Use that test ID. To find the test I created, and from here, that little box is all in my way. I'm going to edit and delete this one as well. All right. I think the most difficult thing for you guys will be just searching for tests and searching for items. I don't think anything else is really difficult. It's just something new. But when it comes for finding those assessments we created in PowrSchool and fishing them out the bucket, the naming conventions that we used in that platform will really benefit us in finding those assessments here. And those steps were, let me do it one more time. And guys, please write this down. You're going to search using the naming convention. Once I find the test that I like, I have to, 1, duplicate it, 2, rename it using the conventions,
Laura, is the V 2016 only for math intervention tests?
yes.
Okay. I think I named a couple things with V 2016 on the back of it. So I'll fix those.
Okay, that's okay. You would duplicate. And that's going to take you just like the steps in a new test. That's really the only difference. Once you find it, you have to duplicate it, rename it using the conventions, and then just like a new test, it's going to open in this window to where you can format it with the tools or sections. You have the ability to add items. You're going to have to put it in the category, course type, and grade level. Just check your administration permissions. And once you've vetted all of your test questions, you'll have the ability to save and then release the test to students. Any questions, guys? No questions, really? All right, so the rest of the training, you're going to work with your grade level, try to dig out some of those assessments that you created in PowrSchool, or if you'd like, just create a new formative assessment using the items available in Performance Matters. What was important for me were you guys to have the skills and the ability to create assessments in this platform. With our SMART goal coming up, you need some baseline data. I know IXL, some of you are not seeing all of your kids. There's really no way to get any baseline data out of reading eggs in order to write your SMART goal, but right here in Performance Matters, you can pull those assessments that you created in PowrSchool. You can duplicate them, edit, and release them to your students, or just start from scratch and create new types of assessments. The math interventionists and reading interventionists are working on pulling those assessments over and getting them ready for you guys. They're working very hard, and it's a lot. You think about every SOL per grade level times second, third, fourth, and fifth. Whitney, are you guys coming along with that? Or are we going to be ready by next week, do you think?
What are you talking about? Next week. I know some of us have done some, like I've done my 5th grade first quarter. I think 3rd grade's mostly done. I have no idea about 2nd and 4th. But most of the first 9 weeks I think is pretty done for the MI tests.
Oh, you're rocking and rolling then. That's a lot better than what I thought.
Yeah.
So again, if I go to the test center, I can sort and look for assessments this way. And as more tests are pulled over from PowrSchool, you're going to get a larger variety of assessments appearing here. And you'll be able to use these filters to break it down. But even after that, the test ID number is going to be the most efficient way to locate an assessment in Performance Matters. When we come back together, whether we're together via Zoom or you're watching a recorded training, we're going to look at the different types of reporting. And Performance Matters has an awesome help center where you guys can go in and get training on anything and everything relating to Performance Matters. So for the overachievers, if you wanted to go into that little question mark at the top, right here, it's going to take you into their training portal. And there is training on every single thing Performance Matters. So you can look at reporting. If you already have assessment data that you want to dig into before we come back together, please feel free to go to the help desk within Performance Matters. They have videos, little step-by-step tutorials that will take you through what everything is. And really, that's all I had for you guys. I know I kind of left you on your own last weekend and Friday to look at the platform. Did anyone get a chance to actually create an assessment and assign it to your students yet? Maybe even have them complete it?
My class today did the rounding test that Whitney set up, but it might need to be reset because they were having a lot of sign-in issues with it. So, but we did try to do an assessment today.
What kind of sign-in issues?
I think it was just more the internet connection. Like some of them couldn't sign in to log into their ClassLink. Others got kicked out of their ClassLink. And it was just causing a lot of issues.
Did anybody finish?
They should have. I think a lot of them did finish because I had told them to do their best and do something in it. But I told them if it was just too much, then we'll just see if I can get the test reset to do it again.
I remember
Or do you have
Dr.
to do
Hicks
that?
said there was a connection issue for Comcast. Maybe that was part of the problem.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of mine were saying was that they did have Comcast because I told them that this morning as well. I was like, if you have Comcast, you're probably going to have some issues. But they were really distraught about not getting the test or being able to do the test. So they were not very focused like I was hoping they would be.
And Laura, the new teachers were just coming in as you were going in how to sign in or where the link was to sign in. I missed it. Would you mind showing us that again?
Absolutely. Now, for the majority of us, we're going to sign in to Performance Matters via the ClassLink.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. To clarify, I meant to sign in to show that we had attended this meeting.
No worries.
Okay, thank you. We definitely were here for that part. Thank you.
Well, and then a different dashboard here. Erica, do you see the slide deck I'm presenting?
Yes,
On slide number 2, this is the deck that I emailed out.
got it. Open too.
Yes, ma'am. So slide number 2, right here, we have the electronic
Okay,
sign-in form.
got
And
it.
guys, like I said, Dr. Clay said she would award points. So if you attended any of these, complete that form for each one and just you can copy and paste the title and the date over. So when I run the reports, I can give her everyone who attended. And there was an additional one. Oh gosh, maybe that is it. The September 1st one.
Mhm.
I think that was the one I was missing, but only in my brain. All right. So yeah, we've done, I think that covers everything except for the division-wide Google training. Did I miss one, guys? Is that it?
I think you missed one. I think there was one on Flipgrid and Padlet.
Yeah, I thought so too. Was that the teacher tech box tool?
I don't think it was because I remember coming to 2 and I remember not coming to the Google Classroom and Friends.
And
So
one was in the cafeteria, right?
2 of them were in the cafeteria. The
Okay,
tech
yeah.
toolbox was one of them. And then I want to say there was another one the following week. I will look in my planner. I probably have it written down and let you know.
That would be awesome, Tiffany. And guys, I know I sent you the PDF, but that link going out to this slide deck is going to be the most accurate. And I say that because when I set it up, I had some dates and times here, but really I know you're overwhelmed. I truly do. And I promise you, I wouldn't take your time unless I felt like what I was giving you was valuable. And like I said, I can do the videos, but from what I hear back, the feedback is you like to do it together, hands-on. You get more out of it than just watching. So I'm trying to find an equal balance. Forgive me, just know I don't want to just take your time. That's never my intention.
So, oh, I'm sorry, Laura, I was just going to tell you the tech toolbox was on the 28th of August.
Ooh, nice.
And then the not Google, I'm sorry, the Padlet and Flipgrid was the 1st.
Ah, okay. So just really quick.
Sometimes it pays to be a nerd and write stuff down.
You know, I have it everywhere, but it just wasn't clicking in my brain. So I'm
There's
gonna.
a whole lot of not clicking in my brain lately.
I think it's not just you. I promise.
No.
So I'm gonna copy that. Control V. I'll pull him right here, and I'll make it pretty later. And you said it was the 28th, Tiffany?
Yes, ma'am, 28th.
Thank you so much.
And the other one I think you called online tools.
Online tools. You're too good.
I'm trying to make up for that salty email.
Salty email. It wasn't to me, was it?
I love you.
I don't remember that.
I felt salty.
Well, I don't remember it, so it must have just went right on over, and I just took it as we're trying. All right, so I've added that, and I'll add the pretty little line and make it prettier, but I thought we did more than that. So next time we come back together, it will be on analytics and reports and performance matters. I'm assuming by then you'll have the opportunity to do the MI test, create your own classroom formative assessments. We will look more at IXL diagnostics and analytics also. But this link right here is going to take you out into a folder on my Google Drive that has all kinds of stuff in here, everything that you need to know about IXL. And let me show you how I got there again. Do you see where it says IXL at home learning packets? You open that up. I have 1, 2, 3 sets. So if I open up packet 1, grades kindergarten through 5th grade, I have a PDF packet that aligns with IXL. So you know how you guys talk about sending home packets? Here are the IXL packets with the skills in IXL. If you click on that, it will take them to the IXL online practice. They have the hard copies. You guys can make a copy of these packets, put it into your Drive in Google Classroom for parents. That little box gets in my way. So just check out this IXL in the packets. The learning docs on how you can use it with in-person and distance learning, how you can use the assigning skills to hone in on what you want students to practice, not just logging into IXL and working. The diagnostic arena is important. Try to get at least 30 minutes a week of students working only in the diagnostic arena. That will give you more information as to where they are. Flipgrid, a lot of you have requested Flipgrid from the Toolbox Padlet I sent out to you. The Toolbox Padlet is a working document that we're going to use all year. There's topics across the top, posts underneath. Teachers ask questions and answer each other's questions. We share tools that are working for us that others may not know about. So look at the digital toolbox parking lot. That's a place to where if you have a question, it may already be answered, or if you need some ideas, it could be a good springboard. And that about covers it. If you are a Tech Tub teacher, please make sure that you get a little chance to go online and give us some feedback for the Tech Tubs and for attendance today. For myself and Dr. Clay, use the link on slide 2. And again, if you attended any of these, do the form for each one, and you should be able to copy and paste the title. It's a drop down for the date, an electronic signature. And Dr. Clay said she would award points.
Laura, do virtual teachers count as Tech Tub teachers this year?
I would say yes. Absolutely, because you're getting the same PD, and that's really what it's about. Is that was the professional development relevant? Did it help?
Gotcha.
Guys, I'm sorry I took so much of your time today, but hopefully this was stuff that's going to benefit you and your students. You can get some formative assessments out there to get that baseline data to help you write your SMART goal and to drive instruction in your classroom.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Guys, have a great afternoon. I know I'm getting ready to see virtual teachers in a minute. We're not going to be long. It's going to be a check-in, check-out type of thing. Run to the bathroom, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Let's just stay on and just mute ourselves for now.
No, it's a different URL.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Bye-bye.